Okay, g'day guys, this is the Roshtek software solution instruction video. So what we're going to do first is we're going to just cover the software on the phones, which we're also calling scanners. So I apologize if I call it a phone while everyone else is calling it a scanner. By both I mean the same item, so just keep that on board. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how you restart the scanner. Okay, we're going to discuss how you've got to keep it charged, returning it at the end of the day, also a bit of recalibration on the screen. We're going to also cover the application itself, so how to run the application, the different features like employees, Utes, warehouses, how to remove and add items, and how to get to next jobs. First things first, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the phone. So we've got these phones, they're called Intermec N50s. We've got an emulator here where we put a cradle on. We put the phone on the cradle and we're able to interact with it. So as you can see here, I've got a little bit of an emulator which has got a phone on there now. So generally what we do is it's just basically a telephone which has an operating system on it, just like a computer. You've got your start menu there, you've got your toolbar at the bottom, you've got your icons in the corner. Now instead of having the phone, the clock at the bottom, it's up in the top corner as there's limitations. But much the same, you can see is if you click the start menu here, you get your options like starting up and shutting down, your emails, Internet Explorer, and of course the Roshtek software. So my goal here firstly is to just show you how every morning what I'll need you to do is to reboot the machines just to make sure that there isn't any sort of unnecessary fault or the machine's not communicating over the internet or so forth. So firstly we'll just run that shutdown up, and you can see there that it tells you to turn off and restart and all that sort of rubbish, and you just go ahead and say yes. The software will in time restart, so we will wait for that, and with the magic of TV it should only take a few seconds. Okay, so she's starting up again. The software is picking up that the phone's restarted, and by default what the software actually does is the database software that's on these phones for the Mackie Plumbing software generally restarts automatically when you turn on the phone from shutdown, and this is what you'll see here now, that it's starting up all of its items in the background. Alright, so you can see that the database software starts running. Now we don't really want to do that at this stage. You want to cover some other areas first, so what we'll do is we'll just stop that from running. We'll exit that software. Now you can see that was pretty easy. That's how you turn off and on the phone, and it automatically runs the software. But what is important to me is showing you some other areas as well, which is the settings. So what we have sometimes is you might have an error where you ring up Dennis and you say my data's not pushing through. Generally what we'll do is we'll ask you to run Internet Explorer, and what that'll allow you to do is that'll allow you to see that if you were to do a bit of a search, it would in fact come up and do a search. Okay, we'll see how that goes. So yeah, after a bit of a screw up there, it works. So you can see here that the internet successfully works, which is sometimes something that we're asked to do to fault find issues. So running that. One of the other areas that you might want to do is recalibrating, which is found inside settings. So you can see here, if I go to here in settings, I have system, and I have the option of screen. Now that allows me to align and calibrate the phone, which I would actually use with a stylus and a button. But with the stylus, I would in fact click where the X is to calibrate the phone. Now what happens there is that allows you to stretch certain things and so forth, so that you can actually open up fields inside the program, which is an important feature to understand. So calibrating your screen is something that you want to do now and then. In other areas, you've got your barcode scanner software. This uses these settings in here, which is your different formats in regards to using the scanner feature. So when you click on this button here on your phone, a red light comes up, allows you to scan, blah, blah, blah. These are the settings for that, which you don't generally change, but I will show you because there is a possibility you may go in there at some point under the instructions of a technician. So anyway, nonetheless, we've covered the settings that you need to know about, which is the intermec, the aligning of the screen, and pretty much the rest of the information is irrelevant at this stage. Okay, so let's drop back and we will commence understanding the Roshtek software that you can see here. So let's assume that you've received your phone. We'll say that you're a Ute. So first things first, we'll run the item. Okay. And it'll ask us to log in. Now by default, everyone logs in with the same user ID, which is username 1 and password 1. But what is important is to make sure that you're set up correctly and that you are the right Ute and the right person. So as you can see here, the interface has come up. This is currently version 1.2013, which I must say is doing a very good job. I can't say that I've got that many issues. It does tend to crash now and then, but we do need to keep into consideration that this is its very first build. So this is the first time we've built this application. We're bound to have a few issues. So nonetheless, we log in as 1. Will it allow me to do it that way? No, I'll have to click 1 on my keyboard. Now what we're doing is we're logging in as Julian, and Julian is generally U2. Each U is allocated to each staff member, so that is something that you will get into an understanding of. So here we go. We'll log in, and this is the interface on a phone. So what actually happens here, that this gives us the option to view jobs, not necessarily create jobs, receive and remove items, check in and out items, move them to different areas. We've got stock take features as well as admin and sync, and of course log off. So I mean, what we'll do, we'll actually start from the bottom and we'll go from sync. One of the important things to do is when you receive your phone is it needs to be set up correctly to identify you and the vehicle that you are. So generally you come into this feature here, the sync feature, and what that allows you to do is to choose the Ute that you actually represent. So in this instance, we've got Julian and he is U2, so we've selected that. Now let's just say it was another Ute, like perhaps U3. I would have to pick U2, and I would have to go download from server. And from that, what it'll actually do is it's going to pull all the relevant information for that Ute, what's in the Ute, what the job is that's coming, and so forth. So we'll let that happen. It does sometimes take a bit of a while, as much as 3 or 4 minutes if there's a lot of information. So we'll just let that pump through there, and with the magic of TV, it shouldn't take too long. So as you can see here, it's downloading items and inventory. It covers all areas from purchase orders, stock, items in and out. You'll see that they will appear to be downloading. So you just have to patiently wait for that to complete. Okay, so we have successfully done a sync for U2. You can see here that if we log off, it should in fact say U2 here. So if at any point you were a driver and you picked up a phone and it had a different Ute, that would be the successful way to change your Ute ID. You would have to log back out and then select the person you are, and then log back in. Okay. Now, one of the other important areas, of course, is the viewing the job. So once you've sorted all that out and you're the right Ute and the right employee, you will have a list of jobs here that you can actually run. And what you will have is, at this stage, there's nothing in there. I will show you, in fact, from the other end, how that actually happens. So we'll just log into the back end, or the front end, or whatever end. Just minimize this. Okay. So we log into the software. And I'll just show you how that job is actually put in the system, and that makes it easier for you to understand how these jobs appear in the job window here. Okay. Okay, so the software has opened up, and generally what happens is when we want to create a job in the inventory software, Mick or Dennis will be going to the job window. Okay. Just give it a bit of a chance. We're running a bit slow. Okay, so you can see in here we've got some old jobs that are sitting in the system that haven't been completed yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a new job. Not necessarily okay, so as we were before, 100 people just came in and stopped me from this. We're back. And what were we doing? We were creating a job for Julian. So what we need to do is, let me see. Okay, the problem I was having then, sorry guys, is that I need to run this in a full screen mode. So anyway, what we've got to do is we're going to create a new job for Julian. So I go new. Okay, window should come up. And what that allows me to do is to create a job. So what we're going to call it is Jules let's call it Jules example. Okay, 001. Now the person that's actually going to be doing that's Julian, so it identifies who he is and what his Ute ID is. It comes up with the Ute ID anyway. So from here, we put someone's address in. Okay, the description. Okay. So we've got the address, the description, the customer. Now generally with Giles Mackie, 99% of the time the job is a contract job. So what we've done here is we've got all of these different jobs, these different contractors, and the information inside is relevant to the job. So for me, let's say Power Property is my property manager. If the job was for me, so Power Property, and I would select that. Okay, contact, well, my contact there's Kelly, the sexy little thing she is, and we are going to commence this job. So you can see it says successfully created job. When I exit that, we've got the job up here. Now if I minimize this and we go back over to our phone, we should be able to successfully sync this phone. And what you will find is the job will appear. So here's the job. You can see that I can open up the job a bit so that I can see it better. Don't you love that? The emulator's loving me. Let's see if I can do it with the stylus from this end. Okay. Oh, you're gonna love it. Oh, I hate it when it does that. Go back in, view the job again. See if we can drag that down. Yeah, not having much luck with that. Let's try it from here. So, yep, I can pull that down like that, and you can see that we've got the example, and it's saying take out the ex-wife and sell her on the black market, and living on Maytown Close. So you can see, so we can start that job by going start job. And from here, what happens is the software immediately puts you in a mode that you're going to take items out of your Ute for your job. So generally what happens is you've got items in your Ute, you've got this button here, and when you click that button, you've got a light that emits from the top here, which allows you to scan each of your items. Your item code will come up here, and in turn you can click the quantity. So I'll give you a bit of an example of that. I've got an item here that I'm going to scan. It is an aquadome. It's all messed up and that, but it's got a barcode and they've wrapped it up. It was one of the old stock items that we found in the bottom of the shed. We're able to rebox, and we can use once again, because this is the goal here. It's all about not losing any stock. Previous to this, we looked at all the Utes. I think we had like hundreds of thousands of stock items that weren't allocated. This was one of these. We've boxed it, we've barcoded it, we've given it an ID. So instantly this $20 item, which would have been in the bin, is now back on the floor, and it will be used as an item to generate revenue. So what we've got is I'm just going to scan that item by clicking on this button here, which you can't see from where you're standing. And if I select that item, you can see it comes up with the barcode item and how many items I want. So I'd be able to remove that, and then automatically that is added to the job that you are currently working on. So I can easily go remove. Okay, and then that item is added to the items used on that job. Okay, so all of a sudden I've had a bit of an epiphany, and I've realized that I need to show you two sides of the coin. You can see here that these are our items and so forth, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to produce a bit of information to show you how the two integrate. So you can see here on this side, these are the remove items. Now from the back end, if you have a look into the system and I looked at that item, what you would see, for instance, is here's an item that Dan did back on the 17th. Now every time he scans an item, it gets added to the job, as you can see here. These kits are pre-allocated kits that we've created that didn't have barcodes, and the ones that have barcodes are generally stock items. When you look down here, you'll see that these are descriptive items, talking about how to replace things, more of a description. Then at the bottom here, you can see we added labor. He spent 1 hour's labor on that job. He basically replaced that item, and that item. He replaced that item, and then he's given a description of that by using the barcodes. Now, when that's actually generated, it comes up looking as follows. So, as you can see here, this is the job for that Dan job. It shows his Ute number, who he is, the date that he did it, that it had an invoice number. Now what it does is you can see it has all of those descriptions you can see. So if I minimize that, you can see here that you've got these descriptions here. You will see that they are actually appearing on the job. Now they've doubled up here, which is a problem that we had, but it is resolved, so that's not to worry about. This is a bit of a test. You can see everything doubled up. Now the doubling up was the result of the machine not being rebooted in the morning. So this is a bit of an example of why it's important to reboot the machine in the morning, so that any of these little inconsistencies don't reoccur. Now you can see that it has all of the items, but it actually doesn't show any of the materials used. Now the reason being is that we do not want to show the material costs. We just want to give the customer information, the cost of the materials overall, and our hour of time. So when I go over to the next page, you can see that it's calculated it correctly, which would have been $77 an hour, and then also all the different parts plus GST came up with that outcome. So you can see here that really why I'm showing you this is because I'm trying to show you how it produces the information automatically all the way back over from this component. So when you add these items, they are in fact being pushed across into a job, not unlike this one, and then listed before being produced when printed out to give to a customer as an invoice. So we're really just trying to eliminate as much small talk as possible, and it all just happens automatically. Now with these labor and dentists, you can see here, if I actually minimize that and you have a look at the camera screen, you can see I've got a bit of a book here, and inside that book it actually has what we have different codes. So you can see the different codes here. Now what that is it's descriptions on certain items. I'll find one that is a little bit more exclusive to our needs. So if I go over to here, you can see that we've created a booklet, and what the booklet entails is all of the information that could be performed. So the first one there says services shower and taps, and it has a barcode there, and really what that does at the end of the day is that produces what I showed you before, where it'll give you a description. Okay, so for instance, here's Dennis 001. It's a scan code to tell the boys, Dennis, that the boys need to discuss the job with Giles immediately, or Dennis. Okay, so you can see that we've got these booklets. These booklets here, they've got a table of contents, and they are description book. They are pretty much barcodes of every kind of job that you can possibly imagine. So all you have to do is scan that, and that will be produced for Dennis at the other end and Michael, so that they can produce invoices. Actually, very good way of doing things, comes up very clear. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that because this is how it all sort of forms, and the whole concept starts all the way from here, from when we start the job and we start picking items. Okay, so we have removed a job. What we're going to do is I will give you an example of adding a description. So instead of it being a material, we're going to add a description. Okay. So what we've got here is we've got a description field here, and the one that I'm going to try and pick is any of them. So we will just try and get one to come across, give you a bit of an example. Okay. Now you can see we picked an item which is called Kit 05A, and Kit 05A is a flicker mix that's broken being completely replaced. So you'll see at the other end that when we remove this item and then we go over and we have a look at the job later, you will see that it will in fact come up with the item that is there. Now there is a 3-minute diversion, so later on when we look at that, we will see that that item has appeared and it'll show, which in turn we print, and this is the whole concept here of having a fast invoice inventory system. Okay, so at the end of the day, what we've done is we've given an example of how we've removed items. Generally what I try to do is as follows, is if I was a Ute owner or a plumber, I would already know what I need. I would go and have a look at the job, see what I need, go back to my truck, and then I would scan each of the items and remove them as I see fit. And then I would actually go and perform the job. Then I'd return and I would put my material, I'd put my descriptions in of how I perform the job, and then lastly the labour. Which is also a scanned item in the booklet. And then once I've finished that, I would go close. Now once I've done that, the job is complete. So it's saying to me, all right, you've put all your items in, you've put all of your descriptions in, do you want to complete this job? And I would have to say yes. So when I say yes, what it will then do is it will then download that information across to the database. And then when I go and have a look at the job is in fact gone. I have a look at the item here and you will be able to see that if I refresh that, it is also gone because it is now a completed job. Now if I go to today's date and look at all completed jobs on today's date, we can see here that we have the example here. It has the item plus that extra kitchen item that I talked about. So you can see how it actually produces the information. If I was to actually print out this invoice to propagate to give to a customer, it does take a second, so please wait. You would be able to see that. If I bring this onto your screen, you can see that it's got replaced an item. I think I've picked a different job, which I have. I do apologize. Let's just go over to this one and print that item. Sorry about that. Now you can see here by looking at it that it is given the information of fixing that mixer and replacing it, but then doesn't give you any information on that actual item description. Now we didn't put labour in because I'm giving you an example, so you can see here that it's got the information about the job. I'd have to say that the mixing device costs $10 and there's $1 GST. Generally, if I included labour, it'd be $70 or $77 plus the $10 would include GST. So you know you'd be looking at $88. Okay, so you can see that it all propagated correctly. You can understand how the two systems work together. So we'll just drop out of there. We'll go back to this here. Now what happens is once you've finished your job, you wait for the next job. Generally what will happen is you'll have a lot of items. If you've got a lot of jobs will come up here and you'll be able to pick which job you want to start on. If at any point you don't want to complete a job, you want to put it back on the list, instead of writing yes, clicking yes, I've completed the job, when you go to close, you say no, and that will remain on the job list. Okay. Okay, because I've grabbed because the phone is in a cradle, I've grabbed another phone here just to show you. So using these phones, and as you can see that we've got that blue button there. When I hit that blue button, you can see that it actually produces a scanning light. Okay, so you can also do it with that, and then from what I understand, there's the button on the side too that allows you to do that, as you can see. Okay, now the stylus is permanently attached with a bit of an elastic, and I generally say that you're going to get a better outcome if you use the stylus instead of using your finger. For example, when trying to move up and down that viewing window. Okay, so what we've got here is each employee is given a phone like this, and as we were talking about before, they also receive a cradle that goes into their cigarette lighter, and that would actually mount, as you can see here, cigarette lighter, blah blah blah. You can see that that would successfully mount into there like this. No big deal, it's not rocket science. And the other end would go into your cigarette lighter. So that is important. You should always keep them on charge, and then when you're not using it, make sure that it comes back into the workshop and that it is mounted on the 24-volt chargers, which charge a lot faster, and they've also got a clean filtering system, so they're not going to get spiked. If you were to leave your phone charger in a car, and when you start the car and you stop the car, I'd have to say that there's probably a bit of dirty power there. It'll cost the overall life of the phone. So it is better to have the phone charging in the office overnight as opposed to sitting in your car, being exposed to heat, bad unfiltered power, and a whole lot of list of environmental issues. One of the other things we have discussed is we have the booklet, of course. Now the booklet covers all of the different jobs that you could possibly do. As an example, we've got like the main bathroom, we cover main shower, main bath, toilet, vanity, we've got ensuite, kitchen areas, laundry areas, washing machines, hot water services, pipe lengths, detection of leaks, miscellaneous codes like glues and welding and hire equipment. And then finally it has your labour, so you must remember that every time you do a job you need to do a labour charge. Now from what I understand, not being a plumber, there is a component called the notifiable works plumbing fee, and that is something that needs to be taken into your account as well. A very important scan from what I understand. One of the other important scans also is the scan of the dentist code. The dentist code is whenever a plumber needs to discuss further the job or have extra details added, he uses that dentist scan code and dentist can make amends. So as you can see, here's table of contents, boring, but you can see they're all broken up into their page numbers and all of their different areas. So you shouldn't have a problem finding your description for the job that you're actually performing. Okay. So what have we covered in this video? We have covered so far, we've covered restarting the scanner with the restart button, keeping it on charge, the charger, or returning it to its cradle. Calibrating its screen's an area that we covered also. Now, I haven't really heavily covered this, so I will just quickly now. The differences between the warehouse and employees. Now, that is pretty simple, yet explaining it on a video is going to be interesting.